Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because what just erupted out of Minnesota, this is not a story. This is a political earthquake. And tonight we're going to walk through every aftershock, every secret, and every name that the media is terrified to say out loud because President Donald J. Trump, he has officially struck back and the entire political establishment is scrambling to understand what just happened on the ground right now. All right, so federal agents, ICE, I'm talking DHS, task force, joint task force, intel units, they are all swarming Minneapolis right now, not in whispers, not in rumors, but in full force. And the moment that these boots hit the ground, something snapped nationwide. Sanctuary cities revolted. Ilhan Omar, she went into full-blown panic mode. And deep inside Washington, the Biden holdovers who pushed that quiet, undisclosed amnesty pipeline, they know that they've been caught. They have been caught red-handed, guys, because here's the truth. Trump didn't just deploy agents. He exposed everything. I mean, from terror watch list entries that are tied to migrant routes to fraud networks that operated untouched for years to the exact DHS memos that Biden buried that are now blowing up in real time. And Minnesota, Ilhan Omar's political fortress, became the first domino to fall. And we call it, guys. Tonight, we're going to break down the full chain reaction, the raids, the panic, the backlash, and this nationwide uprising that just started the moment that Trump said enough. So stay right there, guys. This is bigger than Minnesota. This is bigger. This is the beginning of something massive. Hit the like button and subscribe. Folks, the moment that the clock hit December 2025, something changed. Something drastically changed. This wasn't another memo. This wasn't another press conference, another warning shot. This was President Donald J. Trump calling the play himself. And he's executing it overnight. I'm talking no leaks. There was no hesitation. There was really no time for the media to even spin this thing. Federal agents, ICE strike teams, DHS tactical units, and even FBI task support. They all hit Minneapolis in the largest coordinated surge that the state has ever seen, or at least in the last several decades. Why Minneapolis is what a lot of people are asking. What in the world is going on in Minneapolis? Because, well, President Trump's internal briefing showed a reality that was far darker than anyone admitted publicly. Exploding fraud networks, shell nonprofits that are moving millions and millions of dollars, and these foreign nationals that are slipping through enforcement cracks that were created years earlier. And just like that, guys, just like that, the political class began to panic. Omar's district, the sanctuary apparatus, the progressive machine, all of them blindsided. Trump didn't ask permission. He acted, and Minnesota felt it first. And so here's where the story gets disturbing. See, once Trump's team dug into DHS archives, they uncovered a Biden-era directive almost no one outside the upper ranks had ever seen. This was this massive amnesty pipeline built on expanded humanitarian parole, deferred enforcement memos, and internal guidance telling field officers to deprioritize entire categories of removable migrants. Now, this wasn't an accident. This was clearly a system. This was a system that explained why thousands of individuals who should have been removed were instead allowed to blend into communities like Minneapolis, Chicago, Denver, and beyond. And then suddenly the math made sense. Why were fraud networks exploding? Why were these watch list flags ignored? Why were ICE officers reporting impossible case log backlogs? Well, because Biden's DHS didn't lose control. They re-engineered it. And President Trump's discovery of those documents is exactly what triggered the federal surge in Minnesota. And before we go any deeper, I do need to say something very important because stories like this aren't the only thing that's blindsiding American families. A retired father needed a routine treatment, and Medicare denied it. His son quietly paid the bill so that his dad wouldn't feel ashamed. But the father found out anyway. And he said he cried that night. Your family loves you, but they should never have to rescue you because your Medicare plan failed you. Chapter makes sure that that never happens. So most people, they're already dialing the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron to get the coverage that they actually deserve before a denial becomes a crisis. That phone number again is 909-563-8279. And speaking of real outcomes, Ed commented the other day, he said saving $684 a year thanks to Ron and Chapter. Hey, Ed, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Huge savings for an 84-year young senior on fixed income. Ed, brother, thank you so much. Guys, it's stories like yours that remind everyone watching that preparation is really power. And right when the federal surge hit Minneapolis, the cameras went straight to Ilhan Omar. Suddenly, she's on every network, every microphone, every live stream she can find, insisting that this is all racism, all targeting, all fear-mongering. But the panic on her face told a different story, because this wasn't just another Trump tweet. This was action landing directly in her district, the same district where her political power has been shielded for years by friendly media and a fortress of activist networks. Now remember, this is the same Ilhan Omar who bragged that she would be here longer than Trump. Y'all remember that, right? The same Ilhan Omar who never answered questions about her rapid wealth growth. Wonder where all that money came from. The same Ilhan Omar whose allies insisted that Minnesota was the permanent stronghold. But today, those walls are shaking, and she already knows it. Her reactions, they're not confidence, they're warning flares. So once Trump's DOJ reopened the files, everything that the media tried to bury, it just came on roaring back. The Feeding Our Future scandal wasn't an isolated scheme, it was the roadmap. Juvenile justice grant fraud, fake youth programs, Medicaid, housing scams, daycare billing fraud, all of it formed this spider web of networks built during years and years of weak enforcement and political cover. Now, here's the part that's really shaking Minnesota's political class. New individuals are being re-interviewed, subpoenaed, and they're landing again. And several nonprofits, once considered untouchable, are now under federal review. Cases involving 6,000 phantom meals a day, money allegedly routed overseas, repeat fraud offenders getting new grants. It is all resurfacing. Trump's DOJ isn't just cleaning up old cases. It's digging into the entire ecosystem that let this whole thing grow in the first place. Minnesota's calm is completely gone at this point. Now, here's where everything explodes, because once Trump's team reopened the Minnesota files, DHS insiders, they started coming forward under oath. And what that revealed wasn't just mismanagement. It was dangerous. Multiple migrants connected to Minnesota-based networks had been flagged with terror watch list indicators. Yet, their cases were deprioritized or just stalled under Biden's tenure. Not because agents didn't want to act, but because they were told to focus elsewhere. These aren't rumors, folks. These are sworn statements. And once Trump saw that data, he didn't wait for a committee meeting. He ordered deployments immediately. Suddenly, the media that spent years saying Minnesota was safe and welcoming, they had to explain why individuals with known risk indicators were embedded in the very system that taxpayers were funding. So Trump didn't uncover a paperwork error. He uncovered this national security breach that was hiding in plain sight. But Minnesota wasn't the only fuse burning. As the federal surge landed, something unprecedented happened across America. Sanctuary cities started turning on Biden. Mayors from New York City, Chicago, Denver, Boston, all of them are publicly admitting that they were overwhelmed, broke, and unable to manage the very migrant inflows that they were once championed. And so here's the twist, guys. Many of these same cities received individuals who were never supposed to be released under normal DHS protocols. So the real question is, how'd they get in? The quiet amnesty pipeline pushed thousands into blue cities, already collapsing under housing shortages, crime spikes, and exploding welfare rolls. So when Trump's crackdown hit Minnesota, these mayors, they saw the writing on the wall. If Minnesota could fall, they could be next. So for the first time, sanctuary leaders weren't blaming Trump. They were blaming Biden. And just when you thought Minnesota couldn't look more chaotic, the Minneapolis police chief stepped in, not to support federal law enforcement, but to warn residents to call 911 on ICE agents. Yes, guys, I can't even make this stuff up. The chief of police told the public that if you see masked men detaining someone, they should assume that it might be kidnapping, not immigration enforcement. Trump officials were absolutely livid. They were furious. Former ICE Director Tom Homan, he called it shameful, saying any officer obstructing federal operations could face prosecution, and he meant it. Think about the signal that this sends. Your local police chief urging people to resist lawful federal arrests at the exact moment terror watch list revelation surface. So instead of reassuring the public that, everything's going to be okay, Minneapolis leadership made residents more afraid, more confused, and more distrustful. This wasn't miscommunication. This was open rebellion against Trump's enforcement mandate. And Washington noticed that. And look, when you see chaos like this, When officials give out mixed messages and you don't even know who's protecting who anymore, it kind of reminds you exactly how vulnerable everyday Americans really are, right? A viewer wrote me last week saying that her tax return got rejected because someone had already filed using her social security number. Now, imagine that. You're 67 years old, retired, living your life, or at least trying to live your life, right? And suddenly you're fighting the IRS over a crime that someone else committed with your identity. This is exactly how identity theft really hits, quietly, invisibly, and always at the worst possible moment. LifeLock monitors for that long before the IRS ever even sends you a letter. And the 30-day free trial lets you see what's already out there under your name. Now, most people don't wait for a government rejection letter to learn the truth. Just click the link in the description down below and get your free 30-day trial today. Now, Trump's response to the chaos, it wasn't subtle. He unveiled a new immigration war doctrine. This is a whole of government strike, as insiders call it, built to eliminate the bureaucratic choke points that allowed fraud and dangerous networks to operate for years. Now, this doctrine, it didn't just use ICE. It combined DEA, ATF, FBI, Homeland Security investigations, and federal prosecutors from multiple districts. If agents found drugs, DEA took over. If they found unregistered weapons, ATF prosecuted. If fraud surfaced, DOJ seized records. And after the criminal cases, ICE removed the offenders with no delay. It was the most aggressive, synchronized enforcement campaign that Minnesota has ever seen. And it sent a message far beyond the Twin Cities. The era of protected networks, ignored fraud, and buried cases, this is over. Trump was clearing house everywhere. As Trump's crackdown gained momentum, the most stunning revelations didn't come from politicians. They came from inside DHS itself. Whistleblowers who had stayed silent for years finally testified that under the Biden administration, they were discouraged from pursuing certain removal cases, even when the individuals showed up multiple red flags. Some were even told to reclassify cases as low priority. Others said that supervisors ordered them to close files outright in order to reduce backlog statistics. Now, these weren't some vague accusations. These were career officials, many with decades of service, saying that they were pressured to look the other way. Now, you got to understand, you got to wonder, why were they told to look the other way? To ignore these different fraud indicators, to dismiss criminal associations, to leave cases unprocessed that now, under Trump, are resurfacing with explosive consequences. And these testimonies, they did more than validate Trump's actions. They exposed a chilling truth. Biden didn't lose control of immigration. He restricted it from being enforced. And so meanwhile, inside of Minnesota, community leaders are sounding alarms of their own. Somali council members, they went on camera urging residents to carry their documents, warning that ICE was stopping people based on appearance and comparing the situation to 1930s Germany. The rhetoric was dramatic, intentionally so, and it spread fear throughout the neighborhoods overnight. But here's a contradiction. The same leaders who claim to value law and order now painted federal enforcement as persecution, even as Trump's team emphasized the arrests targeted individuals that were tied to fraud schemes, criminal activity, or lapsed immigration status. Their fear-driven messaging clashed directly with President Trump's national security priorities, deepening Minnesota's divide, and residents didn't know who to trust. Community leaders telling them to hide, or the federal agents who were telling them to comply. Now, this wasn't just tension. This was two realities colliding on the same street. Now, one of the biggest shifts under President Trump's renewed enforcement push, it came when the FBI reopened Somali gang activity files that had been quietly deprioritized for years. So Minnesota officials long denied the scale of the problem. But Trump's team wasn't relying on some political narratives. They were out there looking at the real numbers. And the lawmakers like Tom Emmer, they had already warned a massive percentage of violent crime in the Twin Cities was tied directly to a small group of organized networks operating in the shadows. So Trump ordered those files back on the table. Suddenly, all of a sudden, agents are retracing old cases, revisiting witnesses, and cross-referencing fraud suspects with criminal associates. What they found confirmed the urgency. Patterns of coordinated activity, money movement inconsistent with declared income, links between fraud schemes and gang members. This wasn't random crime. This was structured, and Trump's team is now dismantling it piece by piece. And so now, the shockwaves. What happened in Minnesota didn't stay in Minnesota. It triggered this national political realignment. Sanctuary cities across America, they're bracing for a very similar federal action. States are rewriting immigration cooperation agreements. Congressional committees are quietly drafting new enforcement legislation that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago. The Minnesota surge exposed more than one state's weakness. It revealed exactly how deeply the Biden-era amnesty pipeline had reshaped enforcement nationwide. Fraud networks in other states were suddenly nervous. Nonprofits that had never expected scrutiny are lawyering up. Even Democratic governors are distancing themselves from policies that they once championed. But you got to understand, because everyone understands the truth now. If Minnesota was Trump's first domino, well, which state is next? And more importantly, how many buried cases will explode when Trump's team opens the next set of files? This is far from the end of the story. In fact, this is the beginning of a nationwide reckoning. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. We'll see you next time.